Great God that keepeth covenants and mercies for them that love him and observe his commandments. And then to his son, who is our king, our savior, our prince, our high priest, our apostle, whom the Father used to reconcile us back to himself. So we thank God for his son. And then everybody that's with us, whether you're elder, brother, mother, sister, children, those that are watching online. As the scripture says, the partakers of the heavenly calling, we thank God for each and every one of you. Right? And then we also want to uh, make a prayer on behalf of those that have not been awakened to the truth. We ask that the Most High be merciful to them, just like He was to us, that they will also be able to serve God how He was intended to be served, right? How He was intended to be served. A lot of people serving the Most High, right? They just serve Him in, their ways. But the Most High has a way that He want to be served. He want to be worshipped. He want to be reverenced, and we can only get that knowledge from His Word. All right, which He have given us um, through His book, right, and through His Spirit. Okay, so this is why we come together. This is why we read. This is why we do these things so we can know exactly how we ought to reverence such a worthy God. All right, like the God we serve. Okay, I believe it's Leviticus 15 we're at. Okay, we are on Leviticus 15. Last chapter, we might did two. Did we do two chapters last week? No, it was one. Okay. So last chapter we was doing a lot of stuff once again with leprosy. All right, we're in Leviticus dealing with the laws. Okay, so last couple chapter we've been dealing with leprosy, what it looks like. Right, we see the priests have to know what the difference between clean leprosy and unclean leprosy. When you're unclean, what does that look like? What can you not do? What can you do? When it's clean, you're good. And how to become clean, right? Because it's not, as we see, it's not just I'm clean and now I can just go about my day. We know that what? There was a sacrifice or something attached with it. Okay. So um, people might not know, but when it's talking about unclean, right, in this sense, right, this is not dealing with, oh, they're in sin. Okay. I want to keep making sure we know that point. It does not mean that person's in sin. Okay. They are unclean. And I like to say it's my ceremonially unclean. Okay. Meaning they wouldn't be able to go to the temple and do, some kind of sacrifice and things of that nature. They can't, they're unclean. They're unfit to go to that. Okay. Because of their condition, whatever it is. All right. I know we deal with leprosy, but this is also if a woman's was on a cycle. If a man, we're about to go into some stuff even with the man, but if you got an issue running, anything like that, it can make you unclean. Okay, but that was for the ceremonial purposes. That does not mean that person is now in sin. Okay, because some of these things you can't help. All right, something like definitely a woman is like she can't help that, so she's not in sin 7 days every month. Okay, so it's good to understand it how we're reading it. Okay. So 14, like I said, was dealing with leprosy. All right, priest should go forth out of camp. And the priest shall look, and behold, leprosy, be healed of leper. So even when you're healed, you have to go through this process, and we linked it even with Christ, right? We said that he healed the leper, right? And he told what? Do what the law of Moses told you to do. Okay? That was very important because he was still showing that he's still upholding the law. Okay? He said, go to the priest and make sure you get that situated. Okay? Remember, they had the temple and everything. Okay, so those laws was attached to that. Right now, we don't have that physical temple. Okay, let's go. While we was on here, before we transfer to the next scripture, we're gonna go to Second Kings real quick. All right, Second Kings chapter 5. All right, we're gonna start verse 1. We're gonna kind of we're going to kind of read, skip some stuff like reading. All right, we're going to skip some things. All right. So, 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 1.
Now Naaman, captain of the host of the king of Syria, was a great man with his master and honorable, because by him Yahweh had given deliverance unto Syria. He was also a mighty man in valor, but he was a leper.
Okay. So this is Naaman, all right? Naaman is the captain, all right? He's the captain of the host of Syria, okay? He did do a lot of victories for them, all right? But he was a leper, all right? In other words, not a leopard like an animal, all right? This is not what I label people that have leprosy, all right? So he had leprosy, okay? I'm skipping some of the point because I want to get the whole story. We're just gonna go to the point, right? So of course the king, he was very close to the king. The king wanted, definitely desired that his captain get healed from this leprosy. So let me go down. All right. Go to verse 5.
And the king of Syria said, Go. And I will send a letter unto the king of Israel. And he departed and took with him 10 talents of silver and 6,000 pieces of gold and 10 changes of raiment.
Read.
And he brought the letter to the king of Israel, saying, Now when this letter is come unto thee, behold, I have therewith sent Naaman my servant to thee, that thou mayest recover him of his leprosy.
All right, because they didn't have nobody in Syria that was able to do that. Okay. So they sent it what to Israel. Okay. Excuse me. So verse 7, the king basically saying, am I God? Am I to kill or make alive? Can I heal this person from leprosy? Right? King, like I can't just heal somebody from leprosy. That's something that's in God's realm. Okay. So let's go to verse 8.
And it was so, when Elisha, the man of God, had heard that the king of Israel had rent his clothes, that he sent to the king, saying, Wherefore hast thou rent thy clothes? Let him come now to me, and he shall know that there is a prophet in Israel.
All right. So let him come to me, Elijah. Elisha go and says, listen, bring him come, let him come. And basically he's going to realize that there is a prophet in Israel. All right. Um, keep going. Because the king
So
is
Naaman,
the king shouldn't have been panicking like that, but I understand he's saying I can't heal him, so but the prophet sent. Okay. Matter of fact, let's skip that. Let's go down to verse 10.
and Elisha sent a messenger unto him, saying, Go and wash in Jordan 7 times, and thy flesh shall come again to thee, and thou shalt be clean.
All right. So you wash in the Jordan 7 times, and you'll be good. You'll be healed from the leprosy. See how simple the instruction is, beloved? This is what we deal with when it comes to the church of God. All right. We will get a simple instruction. We will make it hard. We make it difficult. Right? He just says dip 7 times. That's it. That's all you got to do. Okay. And you shall be clean. And sometimes we're so, lazy to do the simplicity, right? And I don't want to say lazy, but it is like lazy because we sometimes we'll go, matter of fact, we'll go overboard, as you're going to see, right? You do something like this, go in the water, dip 7 times. That's it. All right. But let's see how Naaman responds. Verse 11.
But Naaman was wroth and went away and said, Behold, I thought he would surely come out to me and stand and call on the name of Yahweh his God and strike his hand over the place and recover the leper.
And Naaman suffered from the same thing a lot of us suffer today. I have in my mind how you should go and perform this, right? Same thing, right? Somebody you want to get healed, right? You imagine, well, the man got to have to touch me. It don't work unless he touch you, right? This is what the faith was. This is not just Naaman. This is even with Israel the same thing. This is why when Christ was on the scene, right, and that captain came, no, what was the proper title? The centurion? I think it's centurion, right? Came to Christ and said, "My sick." I think it was his, I think it might have been, I think it was his daughter, right? She's sick. And he said, just what? No, you two, holy man, you don't need to go on you don't need to come under my roof. He said, what? Just speak the words. And I know what happened. See that he said, and Christ said, there is no greater faith in Israel because what? A lot of times Israel is saying, what? We need to see the hands. That's what we're used to. Prophet laying the hand of doing something. But we have to have the understanding. God was doing some of these things so we can build up our faith, not to stay at that level. Why I'm saying that is they were thinking if their hands don't get placed on it, we ain't going to get healed. See, you thought the power was in the transition of the hands and that prophet and seeing it. The true power in the healing comes from what? Above. All right. So once again, like I said, I want to fair, but Naaman was like, listen, what are you doing? I'm thinking he should come over there, call upon his God while he's touching me, and then I'll be healed. Okay. And that can happen, but this wasn't happening this time. All right. All right. We're not going into his story. Let's just go to the point. Eventually he did dip in there. Somebody kind of told him basically, you got a lot of pride for somebody that's trying to get healed of leprosy. You're going to demand how they ought to heal you. Okay. Oh, that's all I wanted to say as well. We're not going to it. But he dipped himself what? 7 times. Remember that number. Remember we were talking about when we talk about the cleanness and everything, dipping those 7 times. So this is once again one of those patterns that the Most High uses. Okay. Let me see if I want to actually even. Okay, no, we don't need to go into it. All right. So basically, he got healed from leprosy. Just wanted to show another example of leprosy. They also healed him. One of the things somebody might say, well, why didn't he command him to go to priest and everything? Remember, he's a Syrian as well. All right, so that wasn't going to happen, and he wasn't going to be the father because he probably wasn't going to the temple either. Okay, so this is one of those cases. This Most High just showing his power. Okay, but let's go back. Let's go to the lesson because I don't want to drag it out too long. All right, let's get to the chapter. All right, so once again, that's just wanted to show that they had leprosy, was uncommon, and ain't nothing that we could heal, the Most High didn't heal, all right, or clean up, okay? But this was something across the board, not just in Israel, across the board that was seen as a disease and things of that nature, okay? So we had specific rules of how we dealt with it, okay? So our laws just tell us how do we deal with it. Other nations had other maybe stipulations of how they deal with it. Okay, but with us as the followers of God, this is how we dealt with it. Okay. All right, let's jump right to our chapter. Oh, that was a long chapter last week. Okay. All right. Leviticus chapter 15, starting at verse 1. Leviticus 15 and starting at verse 1.
And Yahweh spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When any man have a running issue out of his flesh, because of his issue, he is unclean.
Yep. The beloved, I gotta keep it like that, a running issue. All right. Whether it's a blood thing, a lot of times, well, we see that with the women. I'm trying to think with the women we had a running issue. Example of it. Can't think of that off the top of my head. All right. So this is dealing with a running issue. If they have this issue, okay, we think of running, think like flowing. If they have this issue, they are unclean. Okay, so we have leprosy. This is something different than leprosy. Okay, so you get into another aspect of the law and how and this is still some people call it the cleanliness laws, right? How to be clean from certain things. All right, verse 3, unless somebody had something.
Yeah, the issue can be like a boil or something like that. You know what I mean? And things that leak pus, things of that nature, and blood as well.
Good point. And this is
Verse,
something where it's not like stopping, right? You got a little pimple and it bursts. I don't think about that, but this is a something that's probably contagious, if I can guess, right? Or it's going to get other people unclean and everything. Good point, Art. Good point.
Praise. And this shall be his uncleanness in his issue, whether his flesh run with his issue or his flesh be stopped from his issue, it is his uncleanness. Every bed whereon he lieth that hath the issue is unclean, and everything whereon he sitteth shall be unclean.
Okay. Right. So whatever it is, like I said, kind of bringing out plus and everything, whether it's just flowing, all right, both be unclean. And if they do have this issue, right, it's not just talking about them having it, but where they lay at, right, their bed, where a person lies, is going to be unclean. All right. Anything they're touching and dealing with is unclean. All right. Okay. Yeah, I'll stop there. Anybody have something they want to add? It's kind of going to be, for the most part, a little straightforward. All right. Let's keep going.
5. And whosoever toucheth his bed shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the even. And he that sitteth on anything whereon he sat that had the issue shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the even.
So they are going to, once again, if you're dealing with others, mess with it, right? So somebody have the issue, right? They lay on the bed or whatever, and then you go and now lay on top of that. Now you become unclean. Okay. This is where you'll see sometimes, if you look at some of the Orthodox Jews, some of them will have some beds and things of that nature. Sometimes they're trying to practice this. So they say when they're partners on this, they stay on that bed. I stay over here so I don't become unclean. All right. So this is where you'll see some of those practices trying to happen because of things like this. Okay. So when you look at this, touch his bed, shall wash his clothes, okay, and bathe himself in water and be unclean until. Oh, why I keep yawning, beloved? Apologies. All right, and they shall be unclean to the even. So this is the person that touches. All right, this is not the person that got the issue. This is somebody else coming behind them and maybe sitting on the same thing they sat on, and later on the same thing they laid on. All right, and now they will be unclean. All right, they will be unclean. What? Only until that even or evening. Okay. This is one of the things, beloved. We talk about the evenings and evenings. Remember one of the whole big lot of controversies with the Passover, right? That 14th day at even or evening, right? It could be in the beginning of the day. And as this one you see is what? The closing out. Okay. Because if you're in that day already and you let's say with somebody that's unclean, they sat on the chair, then I sat on the chair and they said, okay, you're going to be unclean till even. Can't be talking about the beginning of the day. We already passed that. What's the next one when it's coming forward? Okay. So once again, you will just be unclean till the even. Then as soon as the sun go down, everything, as long as you still have to wash, beloved, you still make sure you have to wash, and then you wait till that time, and then you're good. Okay. All right, let's keep going. Does
7.
somebody have anything? Okay.
And he that toucheth the flesh of him that have the issue shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the even. And if he that have the issue spit upon him that is clean, then he shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the even.
Once again, should be obvious. You can't sit on what they sit on and everything. You don't touch the flesh of it either. All right. If you do, because things can happen, sometimes you have to deal with them, right? Whatever it is. So he's saying if you do deal with it, you'll just have to wash your clothes, bathe yourself, and you'll be unclean until the even. All right. Then you'll be good to go. Whatever you need to do. If he'd have issue spit upon him that is clean, all right. I don't think this is intentional, just trying to spit on somebody. All right. He should wash his clothes, bathe himself, being clean to the even. Okay, so it's just going through the details. If somebody is dealing with somebody that's dealing with this issue, okay, they will have to wash themselves, wash their clothes, and then they'll be good for the evening. They'll be ceremonially clean for that evening. Okay. Like I said, beloved, you're gonna have people dealing with this probably, all throughout the year, these kind of issues and everything. Okay. So it wasn't think he's gonna make permanent or you unclean for a year, you be out of luck. All right. But we did have people that had to deal with certain things, right? Just like we got hospitals and things of that nature, take care of people. Some people had to still deal with them. So you might be clean, but I got to take care of them. So the Most High understand those kind of things, but he's still putting certain stipulations, okay, of what you got to do. All right. We all good. We all good. All right. Let's keep going.
Verse 9. And what saddle soever he rideth upon that have the issue shall be unclean. Whosoever toucheth anything that was under him shall be unclean until the even. And he that beareth any of those things shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the even.
I don't want to keep repeating the same thing to y'all, beloved. He's just giving more details. All right. Most High is doing this because you know what, beloved? He knows the people he's dealing with. If I just keep it plain and just say one thing, y'all gonna be coming back. Well, what about this? What about this? So he tried to give these scenarios so that hopefully we can just understand. Don't matter what it is, once you touch it, they touch it, unclean. You're ceremonial unclean. Okay. Let's keep going.
Verse 11. And whomsoever he toucheth that have the issue and have not rinsed his hands in water, he shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the even. And the vessel of earth that he toucheth, which have the issue, shall be broken, and every vessel of wood shall be rinsed in water.
All right. So now it's dealing with, the things, well, same thing with touching, but also even some of the, I don't want to say appliances, all right, some of the dishes that you might have. Okay. So those things, of course, have to be clean as well. All right. So you have to rinse those things out. All right. Rinse with water. And some things you got to be broken. I'm going to say the wooden things have to be broken, right? Where is that?
Yeah.
Vessels of earth they toucheth have the issue shall be broken. Every vessel of wood shall be rinsed in water. All right. So if it's the vessel of earth, okay, it got to be just be destroyed. The wood could be rinsed out. All right. And I think that's the same thing. Not mistaken. Remember when we were dealing with the dietary law? Remember, it was telling you if something's in there, certain things you have to break it and destroy it. Other things you can rinse it out. All right. So the Most High must be knowing something about things being in these earthen vessels, and it can be probably held in there, and you just gotta throw it away. You can't salvage that. And there's certain things where if you just clean out, it'll be good to go. You can still reuse it. Okay. So the Most High is showing maybe some wisdom that we didn't probably know, at least really understand at that time. But I'm sure we studying everything now, they probably know exactly what he's doing. But see how the Most High is giving us certain knowledge, right? Some people don't do things until they fully understand they can be convinced themselves. But see, what our laws was already giving us that kind of wisdom. A lot of people trying to study and figure out why, the Bible's saying certain things. And they'll spend their life work trying to figure those things out. Sometimes the Most High will show it to them as well. All right. But greater that we have faith that the Most High is telling us things that is for our benefit, for our good. And we just believe. Okay. Uh, let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Verse 13. And when he that hath an issue is cleansed of his issue, then he shall number to himself 7 days for his cleansing, and wash his clothes, and bathe his flesh in running water, and shall be clean. And on the 8th day he shall take to him 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, and come before Yahweh unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and give them unto the priest.
All right. So, beloved, what do we see? We'll start verse 13. All right. So, this person now being cleansed from the issue, she can be cleansed from it, right? Then he shall number to himself 7 days for his cleansing. So now he has to add 7 days to it. All right. Make sure he's clean. All right. So we see once again that number showing up. All right. 7. We see that 7 again. All right. So wash his clothes and bathe himself in running water. All right. Very important. Running water. So they're sitting. So you ain't talking about doing a little bubble bath when the water's just sitting there, right? Because a lot of times you can sit and you just filtering that on you. So the Most High must know when definitely would deal with an issue, you want that thing to not be just sitting on you. You want to keep it going. So this will be some running water, maybe like I would look at the shower or whatever. Those times they probably use like there's certain streams. They have ponds and stuff where water sits, and they got certain things where you know the water flowing. Okay, so you have to do it. You have to rinse yourself off in that kind of water source. All right, that's a running water. All right, and then once they do that, all right, they shall be clean. And what? And on the eighth day, we see that as well. We see stuff for the seventh day, see stuff for the eighth day. All right, just like with the feast. The feast is what? It's in the seventh day, then the eighth day you do this. We see that we already have that illustration in other aspects of the law. Okay, so this is why sometimes if we struggle with certain things, understanding, sometimes there's something else, another law and everything you can apply to it. Okay, or make that connection to it. So with this one, we heard about this, the two turtle doves, the young pigeons, right? Sound familiar? And what they do, come before Yahweh. How do we come before Yahweh? We will come to the what? The tabernacle. Okay, that is the place. This was referred to as the house of God. All right, this is where we will go, and it talks about sometimes the scripture will say like we present ourselves and things of that nature. It's dealing with the tabernacle because what? The Most High set that apart, right? For his service to be done. This is my house. I'm sanctified. I'm setting apart. It ain't like your house. This place I set apart. All right, for my business. Okay. This place should be called a house of prayer. You made the see is referring to his house. Okay. So this is why it's very important. This is why he's saying, don't be coming up in here unclean. You got to be clean when you come before me. All right. So when they're clean, now what? Because the clean is not dealing with there was in sin and now they're out of sin. This is dealing with what? Now they're ceremonially clean. Now they can go and what? Offer up things like sacrifices, things of that nature. All right. You see the transition? Clean. Now you can come before the Most High. Okay. So, and come before Yahweh unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation and what? And give them unto the priest. Okay. So bring their offering up. Anybody got anything before we move on? Great. Matter of fact, read the next verse and then let me take it somewhere real quick.
And the priest shall offer them, the one for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for him before Yahweh for his issue.
All right. So once again, we always see what the atonement and everything, what they represent. Use these to forgiving of the transgression or I'm saying just transgressions. What a violation, transgression, or something had to be, made correct. Okay. So in this case, once again, it's not dealing with the person sinned, okay, but making that atonement for them being unclean and getting them clean back. All right. So this was the law dealing with that. If they did not do this according to law, they would be now in sin. Okay. You want to understand that. Having the issue don't put you in sin, but now you don't go through the ritual to be clean, all right? You have to go to the ceremonial aspect to be officially clean. Okay. So that's very important. All right, let's go to Matthew 9 real quick. Matthew 9. And this is for people that, now we look at it because people have a big, well, they don't have a big issue. Some people don't understand and thinking Christ was in sin. Let me make sure I got the right one. Everybody kind of should know about this passage. All right, 9 and verse 20. Let's just Matthew 9 and 20.
And behold, a woman which was diseased with an issue of blood 12 years came behind him and touched the hem of his garment.
All right. Question, beloved. When somebody has an issue of blood and they touch you or you touch them, what does that make the other person? Just read the law.
Unclean.
Unclean. We all see that. We all agree with that, right? Now, I'm doing this like this, beloved, because a lot of people don't know this. I'm talking about even ministers don't know this. Okay? Him being touched would make him unclean. But if you don't understand what unclean means, a lot of people says what? Unclean is sin. If you understand it as unclean as sin, then what would happen right here? That will put Christ in sin for being touched. And this is where they, because they know Christ didn't sin. So this is where it throws them all off, and they got to make this whole scenario to put it as well. He touched her, but I mean, she touched him, but it got clean. That doesn't make you clean. To the law, this makes you unclean once you're touched. Okay. So once we have understanding of the law, we know that what? He will just be ceremonially unclean, meaning he will just go do a sacrifice at the temple. He wasn't there every day, as people might want to think. He just lived there, right? So he wouldn't be able to offer something according to the law. He'll be unclean. But we know you're only unclean to what? The evening. Okay? So he get touched. He just can't make an offer and everything. Why so? He's good to go that evening, right? It's not a big deal. Doesn't put him in sin. But if you don't understand it, this is why some people really, really struggle. Okay. So that's good. Y'all was on that. All right. So came behind him and touched the hem of his garments. All right. She hit him with the, what we say, you got the cooties. All right. Somebody unclean, they touched them. All right, great. She got the cooties. Okay. So this is where it's at. All right. She touched the hem of his garment. Yes, he didn't touch her, but it don't matter about you touching the other person. It don't matter. As long as the touch is happening, there it is. Okay. Um, we kind of know the rest of it, okay, but I just wanted to show that part. All right, this is where you can help somebody understand that. Listen, just because somebody touched somebody else does not make them in sin, because if that's the rule you want to go with, that understanding, then you're going to put Christ in sin, and we know that's not the case. Okay. All right, let's go back. Mhm. He did heal her, and once again, her issue lasted, what did he say, 12 years, right? She got that right. Issue of blood 12 years, right? Because remember, long as you have the issue, you're unclean. So she was unclean for 12 years. Okay. Poor daughter. All right. Being in that state for 12 years. Okay. So thank God Christ came to the scene and she had that faith. Okay. And that faith made her whole. All right. What verse we at, brother? I always mess it up.
Uh,
Um,
15 or 16.
18. 18. Yeah, we didn't read 16. Let's talk about the seed. Okay. Let's go to 16.
And if any man's seed of compilation go out from him, then he shall wash all his flesh in water and be unclean unto the even. And every garment and every skin whereon is the seed of compilation shall be washed with water and be clean and be unclean unto the even.
All right. We should know let's talk about the man's seed. Okay. Ejaculating. So when he does that, all right, once again, he is not in sin because beloved, definitely all married people, will be in sin, right? So it's not talking about that. So when he come off, he just have to what? Wash his flesh in water and be unclean unto the even. All right. So he won't be going up offering right when you get done. Nope, you got to clean yourself up. Then you can, that even, then you'll be clean to do, any ceremonial practices you want to do. Okay. Every garment, every skin wherein is the seed of the copulation shall be washed with water and shall be unclean unto the even. Okay. So him, woman as well. All right. Just wash yourself up after it. Wait till evening, and you'll be good to do your sacrifice if you want to do a sacrifice that next day or that night. Okay. Anybody else got anything to add before we move right along? All right. 18.
The woman also with whom man shall lie with seed of compilation, they shall both bathe themselves in water and be unclean unto the even. And if a woman have an issue, and her issue in her flesh be blood, she shall be put apart 7 days. And whosoever toucheth her shall be unclean unto the even.
So I went ahead, I guess, with the woman part. So once again, saying the same thing. The woman that lied with him, this happens. She just have to wash herself All right, she's unclean to the even. All right, Most High is practical, beloved. All right.
Uh-huh.
Um, Remember, okay, yeah. So she'd be put apart 7 days if she got an issue and her flesh be blood. All right. So that one's going to be 7 days. That's going to be a little longer. Okay. Let's keep going.
Verse 20. And everything that she lieth upon in her separation shall be unclean. Everything also that she sitteth upon shall be unclean. And whosoever toucheth her bed shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the even.
We see a lot of stuff. You just wash yourself, you're unclean until the even. All right. You'll see some things where it's like 7 days. So we got to be specific because a lot of people start mixing things together. Oh, if you do this, you got to be unclean. You're unclean 7 days. That is not all the time. It has to be a certain occasion what they're talking about. Okay. So please don't let people, because like I said, people don't read it and they'll just hear one thing and they'll apply it to everything. Okay. We don't want to do that. All right. That could be putting a bondage on somebody that don't even need to be in a bondage to a certain thing because you're not doing it according to the law. Okay. What verse?
Verse 24.
All right.
And if any man lie with her at all, and her flowers be upon him, he shall be unclean 7 days, and the bed whereon he lieth shall be unclean. And if a woman have an issue of her blood many days out of the time of her separation, or if it run beyond the time of her separation, all the days of the issue of her uncleanness shall be as the days of her separation. She shall be unclean.
So maybe I should have read the one with issue blood maybe here. But yes, if there is something where because we said we're talking about the definitely like the menstrual cycle, right? So usually it's a couple days, 7 days, sometimes even longer. As long as that flow is happening, she's unclean. All right, that's all he's saying. Sometimes it might be 7 days, it might be four, it might be 8 or 9. Well, if it goes above the 7 days, however it is, as long as she's still experiencing that, right? She still has the flow, she's off limits. She's still unclean. Okay, until it stops. That's all he's saying. Until it stops, she's unclean. Okay. So that woman, 12 years, that issue's happening for what? 12 years. So she's unclean because that is still there. All right. She's still in that unclean state of mind. Not in sin, but she's still in that unclean state. Okay. And hold on. So if any man lie with her at all right. So this is still something, man, lie with her at all, and her flower be upon him, he shall be unclean 7 days, and all the bed whereon he lieth shall be unclean. So if he does, so men, we were not going to law, we are not to sleep with a woman when she is on her cycle. Okay. However, there are some times where a woman might think she's done or is finished, right? You go and sleep with her, and if the evidence is still on it, right? She's still bleeding. So in that case, now that man, this is what it does. If any man lie with her at all, and her flower be upon him, all right, he got on him, he shall be unclean 7 days. All right. And the bed they're on as well should be unclean. Okay. But this is specific upon what? That blood being on you. Okay. That cycle being on you. So that is something we do not do. Let's show an example of when we're going off, we were doing it. All right. And you'll see a lot of practice even now, people doing this, making little, things about it, and I'm not even going into all the gruesome details about some of the things they're saying regarding it. Did I give a verse?
Yeah.
As Ezekiel, he's trying to multitask, talking and maneuver. So yes, once again, if you didn't know that, now you know. All right. On the cycle, that's a time for her being clean, everything. So let it be. All right. But sometimes, like I said, if there's a mistake, you're not doing it intentionally, that happens. He's saying, all right, you just unclean for the 7 days. That's it. Okay. Ezekiel 22, and let's start at verse 1.
Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Now thou, son of man, wilt thou judge the bloody city? Yea, thou shalt shew her all her abominations.
Gonna judge this bloody city. All right, we're going to show all the abominations of this city. All right, the same thing we see um, dealing with even today in this wicked nation. All right, judge this bloody nation. Let's read verse 3, see certain things, then we're going to jump down.
Then shalt thou, then say thou, thus saith the Lord God, the city sheddeth blood in the midst of it, that her time may come, and maketh idols against herself to defile herself.
So once again, this is what Israel do. We always dealing with idols, all right? That's all. And we start going off, we jump right back to those idols, all right? And the same thing you see today, beloved. People jump right back to some idols, all right? Whether it's Santa Claus, whether it's the Mother Mary, they say, or the hippie they put on that cross, right? All those things they gravitate to. Our people love doing it. It's one of the clearest manifest ways that somebody is often dealing with idolatry and not doing thus saith the Lord. All right, it's one of the clearest indications. Okay, so we ought to see that, but let's see some other details of this. Okay, let's go to verse 7.
And thee have they
I'm sorry,
set
I'm
light.
sorry. Go to 6 real quick. Let's read 6 and 7.
Behold, the princes of Israel, everyone were in thee to their power to shed blood.
So those powers, they what? They shed blood. All right, those princes. Another word for the princes could be rulers. All right. Because you think of prince, some people just think princes is the son of the king, right? That it can be a prince, but when you look at it, princes can be rulers and everything. So those people of authority, beloved, all right, those rulers were witnessing letting this thing go about. All right, so they part of the problem as well. Okay, keep reading.
In thee have they set light by father and mother. In the midst of thee have they dealt by oppression with the stranger. In
Mhm.
thee have they vexed the fatherless and the widow.
And you see what happened, beloved? See, people don't think they think it's all fun and games to let wickedness run rampant in the church and things of that nature. But this is serious. Because what? When you are not doing what thus saith Lord, if you're not going with the commandments and stuff put in place, right? That's why I say when they want to destroy the law and the commandments, guess what? This can happen because there's nothing to check by it. Oh, you can disrespect your mother. Oh, you can disrespect your father. Oh, it ain't no big thing. There ain't no punishment. See, we can't do that because what? Honor your mother and your father. But see, it sounds good because you want to do what you want to do. So you say, just wipe it out. Don't worry about it. And the missing they end up by oppression with the strangers. And now you're dealing with the strangers a certain way. It's supposed to be one law. They're supposed to be submitting to this, but now you're dealing with them wickedly because your eyes got wicked, and we see that definitely today. What's the last part? And the affects the fatherless and the widow. All right. Because what? A lot of times the same thing today, you can kind of see certain things they try to mix with it. That woman don't got a man or a head over it. Now you'll get some punk and some coward men that will treat women terrible when ain't no man or something around. Talk to them disrespectful. You wouldn't talk like that if her husband or man. And this is what happens. When the laws start going away, this is the kind of stuff that happens. The fatherless, children that's coming up, they're not being respected. They're not being reverenced. They're not being, all these things, sheltered and all these things. They're being abandoned. Even though what? Our laws say we got to take care of them. But when you throw the law out, what happened? We ain't worry about them. You see, without the law, you start to become what? It's really you become selfish. Everything's about you. This is why when Christ is coming, talking about this love there, oh, this is new thing, love, love, love. And they thinking the law. No, the law is what brings this because the law is dealing with selflessness. Okay? It's thinking about your other brothers and sisters and not just about you. See, without the law, you destroy that. It can be, I'm just all about me. I'm good. So yeah, everything's good in the world. But the law compels you to think about others. This is why I say it's very dangerous. When you understand the law, it's very dangerous if people want to throw it away. You have to look at what kind of spirit is on somebody that they want to throw away these good things that protect, all right? That protect those that are vulnerable and society wants to disrespect or disregard. The wicked society. But God protects them. The law is mandating it. For a man to say he's holy or right, he's mandated to observe this. Okay. All right. Brother Kai, where we at?
Verse 8, my bad.
Are you fine? Yeah, let's be ready.
Thou hast despised my holy things and hast profaned my Sabbaths.
What do we see now, beloved? Spies and the holy things. One of the biggest holy things is what? Word of God, right? And another manifest sign is what? Profane the Sabbath. Not worried about keeping it. They won't keep it, and what are they? They're encouraging other people not to keep it. Okay? I'm sure it's the same story being told over and over, beloved. Just a different generation. Same thing. This is why when we get wisdom, we already should know that. It shouldn't even shock us at all. This is so we can identify, beloved. This is the power that the Most High gives. He has given us knowledge to be able to identify spirits. First of all, first spirit, he's going to have you identify the spirit that's dwelling in you, that's ruling in you. All right. That's the first exorcism you got to do is get that demon out of you, right? So you can submit to the word of God, but then it'll give you the power to be able to see different spirits, different strongholds on them individuals. Okay. Not to just destroy them, but to have the power to even edify them. Okay. All right, let's go to the point. Let's go to the point. Go to 10. Go to verse 10. Let's go for it.
In thee have they discovered their father's nakedness.
Mm-hmm.
In thee have they humbled her that was set apart for pollution.
So we don't catch that. That's dealing with what we're dealing with, right? They discovered their father's nakedness. So if you go to like the fornication, your father's nakedness, like your father, the wife, that will be the father's nakedness, right? Belong to him, his daughter, son, those kind of things. So some people, just like we read you read in is that guy? No, Corinthians. I think it's 5. So remember you talking about this ain't even labeled amongst the Gentiles, right? You be taking your father's wife. See, that's your father, that'd be your father's nakedness. All right. Because you're not supposed to be sleeping with your mother, or even if it's your stepmom, you wasn't supposed to be sleeping with her, right? That's your father's nakedness. So those kind of things were happening. Why? Because what? They're going off and not doing what thus saith the Lord. They're not doing the commandments. So this is what happens. So you discover their father's nakedness. In thee, listen, have they humbled her that was set apart? What's the word for set apart? Anybody know another word for set apart? It's an S word. It's another word for set apart.
Separate.
Set well, dang, that's good. Yeah, set apart, separate. Give me another S word. That is right though.
Sanctify.
Sanctify, right? So set apart, separate, sanctify. These are things that the Most High tell us be from the world. All right. So with this one, and thee had they humbled her that was set apart or separated for what? For pollution. Seems a little weird, the writing, right? What is another word for pollution? Be polluted. We thinking about what we've been talking about today. When would because it says her, right? When would a young lady be polluted?
On her cycle.
She's on her cycle. So what are they doing? And thee have they humbled her. You got to get the old, I know the word can be different, right? When you humble a young maiden or something, right? When you laying with them. So what were they doing? Have they laid with her that was what? Supposed to be set apart for her what? Uncleanness. They were sleeping with the women and humbling them. Why what? They was on their cycle. They were supposed to be unclean, not be touched. This is what was happening. This is what will happen when you do not keep the Most High, right, and his laws in the city, all right, in the place. All right, keep reading, Brother Kai.
I lost my spot.
Verse 11.
The water. And one have committed abomination with his neighbor's wife, and another have lewdly defiled his daughter-in-law, and another in thee have humbled his sister, his father's daughter.
So we see what's happening, beloved. They're not worried about it. They're doing this. What we see, this stuff ain't. Don't take it far. You got stuff happening like that right now in different places. Right? There's no rules. Do as you want. Sleep what you want. Right? This is what's happening. All right. He said, "I'm going to show." What he said in the beginning, I'm going to show all the abominations. Because see, sometimes we'll just show one. Right? We do the man-to-man woman. That's odd. But these are other things as well that's being what violated in the law. Okay. All right, let's get verse 12 and let's get out of here.
In thee have they taken gifts to shed blood. Thou hast taken usury and increase, and thou hast greedily gained of thy neighbors by extortion, and hast forgotten me, saith the Lord God.
You see? We talking about the gifts and they, oh, I appreciate you. Nah, they're taking bribes. All right, y'all know it. They're taking bribes and using that to pervert judgment. And you will have this, beloved. Okay? If the Most High is not on the leadership, all right, this is the stuff that will happen. Okay? Won't cry out against it. Oh, you give me this? Okay, well, I'll make sure I'll pervert this judgment. I'll change this around for you. And all. This is what happens. All right? So this is why, beloved, you're not a leader. You should pray for the leaders, right? Because it does command, we pray for the leaders. And as leaders, you got to stay in the spirit. Okay? Because this hits the leadership. All right, I'm not blaming on the leadership went off. That's why I said those princes. All right, I'm gonna get on y'all because y'all have the power to do certain things and y'all not doing it. Y'all are part of the problem. If y'all being bribed and all those kind of things, what I expect the people to be? They seen their leaders wicked. Of course, they're going to be compelled. They should be compelled to live a certain way. Okay, so this is why, beloved, we try to be not overbearing with it, right? We try to do it to the best of our ability. Okay, these commandments and laws and things of that nature. Now, does everyone applicable? All right. No, but we have to talk about which ones, right? Certain things it is correlating to, having the actual temple and things. But there's still certain practices that we still uphold and are still applicable, definitely like this one. All right. All right. So I just want to show an example about the issue of blood and, showing you that because people are like, oh, no, that don't happen. That just seems, no, they were doing that. All right. She will be separated. They still sleep with them. Okay. All right. Leviticus 15. Oh man, where am I? Where are we at? I think that was around verse at least 20 something. Yeah, okay. So a man lie with her at all, and her flower be upon him. He shall be unclean 7 days, and all the bed whereon he lies shall be unclean. So the difference between it, because this is what this talk about. No, they knew she was away from her separation. They laid with her knowing she was fully on it. They weren't, oh, it's 7 days, and like she stopped. She's what is the term? Y'all say stop spotting or something, right? Oh, spotting. Oh, I'm dried up. I'm good now, right? And then the man sleep with you and is like, the blood might show up. It's that's happening here. It's not no, oh, I know it's she usually have the cycle, for 7 days, but it's the third day and I just need to sleep. They were doing that. Okay. That's not what this was dealing with. Okay. But if something like that happened, beloved, still do the same thing. All right. You have to be clean. Okay. And go through the cycle. All right. You have to wash yourself. All right, where we at, Brother Kai? That was 24, 25. I think we read. Let's slide the days. I want to say we like 26, 27.
Yeah, I believe so.
I'm not sure. All right, let's start from 26. Read down. I'm sorry, beloved. I forgot where we left off.
Yeah, I believe it was 26.
Okay.
And every bed whereon she lieth, all the days of her issue shall be unto her as the bed of her separation. And whatsoever she sitteth upon shall be unclean as the uncleanness of her separation. And whosoever toucheth those things shall be unclean. and shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even.
Oh, you keep going. There's two more.
But if she be cleansed of her issue, then she shall number to herself 7 days. After that she shall be clean. And on the 8th day she shall take unto her 2 turtles or 2 young pigeons, and bring them unto the priest to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation.
All right. So they have this running issue. Once it stops, okay, you got 7 days. So for that sister that was that we read that touched Christ in the garment, she was dealing with what for 12 years. So if she was clean that day, what did she have to do? She had to wait 7 days. Okay. Now this is where we get certain understandings that some people might not understand. All right. So some people don't think she's good, but according to law, she would have to do what? She will still have to wait that period. Okay. And then she will bring that offering, not to Christ. We're like, oh, well, Christ cleaned her up, healed her, so no. Christ is honoring what? The law. He knows the law don't tell you. Well, when the person does. Now, I'm not saying you can't give a gift. Like if somebody healed you, of course you might be, I want to give you this. I'm not saying you can't do that. The law is not against you doing that, but you have to go to what? The priest. Why? Because it's showing you an understanding, beloved. Okay? Because you sometimes think in your head, you get caught up on the individual that healed you instead of understanding the power that had that sometimes we caught up on the vessel and not the power, right? That was in the vessel that did the healing, right? So this is why when he will have you come according to law and say what? Go to the what? Tabernacle. Go to God's house, right? Go to his worker and offer this gift and acknowledge saying, Lord, I thank you for what? Healing me. I know it come from you. I'm not getting caught up on the vessel. I'm giving honor to you. Now you give honor, and of course Christ did that, and you want to hug them. You're gonna hug them, kiss them, all that. It's not that's in violation. However, still have to go and do that law, right? Because the law is also what? Spiritual. All right. He's trying to get you under a deeper understanding, beloved. You always still want to give all praises to him. Okay. There's nothing wrong with, sometimes honoring the vessel that he uses, but you always want to reinforce that what? It's God that do it. Because you'll hear some people come, brother, I'm not going to use it. Brother Kai, that was such a good, and sometimes you'll hear him say, oh, all praise to the Most High. Right? We'll say certain things like, yeah, all praise to the Most High. Oh man, this happened at the job. They might have gave me favor to do this or that, or whatever it is. Oh, all praises. That's the mindset he wants us to get, giving him all praises. But some of them were so wicked that he had to go to certain carnal things, right, to hopefully build them up to that level, beloved. Okay. So hopefully we can understand it. We don't need the animals and all that. We should have that thing in acknowledgement. When he does something, we give him praise. Okay. All right. What verse was that, Brother Kai? You said that we're 30?
Mm-hmm. Come.
Yeah, we see the offering. Okay, yep. You finish it up.
And the priest shall offer the one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for her before Yahweh for the issue of her uncleanness. Thus shall ye separate the children of Israel from their uncleanness, that they die not in their uncleanness, while they defile my tabernacle that is among them. This is the law of him that have an issue, and of him whose seed goeth from him, and is defiled therewith, and of her that is sick of her flowers, and of him that have an issue, of the man and of the woman, and of him that lieth with her that is unclean.
Bringing that acknowledgement to the law. All right. So this is dealing specifically, right? He said at the end, he kind of give you the subject matters that would be dealt with here. All right. But once again, the sacrifice for what? The atonement for the issue. All right. So dealing with uncleanness, bring you back, you will show what? This will almost be like a token, if you can really see it, understand it, right? A token of appreciation. All right. Token that you accepted back in, clean me back up. All right. We will do this as the acknowledgement aspect. Okay, same thing. We don't have to do all the animals because what? We have Christ. All right. And Christ is not the Father, but what? We can use him and honor him as what? The vessel that the Most High has given us, right? To get that cleansing and that reconciliation. All right. So it's still an honoring system that he is displaying, all right, even with his son. Okay. So we look at this as well. This is the law. He have an issue. Usigo. Okay, yeah. So the same thing. All right. So that they die not in their uncleanness. All right. So this is what we're doing so that we do not die. All right. Thus shall ye separate the children of Israel from their uncleanness. Okay. Because if we are in that uncleanness, like we read in Ezekiel, he's ready to kill us at that point. Okay. So he's giving these things because what? He loves us. The law is a preserver of life, a giving of life. It's not a death sentence. People read Paul, don't understand him, and they making a mess. This is saying, so I don't have to kill them in their uncleanness. Now you mess up something, don't understand it, don't have no previous knowledge. You go to Paul and he says something and you think, and now it's a death warrant. Don't make sense. Why is staying away from somebody being unclean or having these things? Why would that be of death? Doesn't make sense. So you have to understand and investigate. Okay, what I'm mixing something up. All right. Because it seems like contradiction. There's something I'm mixing up. If there's a contradiction, contradictions in me. Have an understanding. All right. So this is why we want to walk it down, beloved, so we can understand. And once again, we're also understanding something in what? The New Testament. Okay. So a lot of things that people don't know, beloved, because they have not got here. A lot of messages have, and I'm not saying it to, I mean, it's bad mouth. It's what it is, right? Some of them have not taken the time, right, to go through these things. They just go right to the New Testament, so-called New Testament, open the book and thinking now I'm a minister because I know about Christ. But they don't understand the fullness of it. You got to put all these things together. Okay. All right. Anybody have anything they wanted to add? Anything anybody wanted to add before we close out? All right. So for those online watching through YouTube, we're going to end it there for you. All right. And I will say shalom to y'all that's watching on YouTube.